Baseball players are supposed to get worse as they get older. Did somebody forget to tell Freddie Freeman that?
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Dodger fans, this is Locked On Dodgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks to our everydayers for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. And thanks to those of you who are with me live here on Monday evening. Remember, this show is free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube simply by searching for Locked On Dodgers, or it's even more available if you just subscribe wherever you're watching or listening right now. If this is your first time with us, I am Jeff Snider. My regular co-host is Vince Samperio. It's just me today. Vince is on a baseball vacation. Vince and I are both lifelong Dodger fans, just like most of you. We've also both spent time covering the Dodgers in the press box and the locker room. So we bring in the smart fans perspective on our boys in blue every weekday morning. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. We got a lot to talk about today. In our last segment, we're going to answer a listener question about how to build a lineup and maybe a statistical way to do that. Pretty interesting conversation. In the second segment, we're going to talk about the news that the Dodgers will be pursuing Kyle Tucker this coming offseason. Surprise, surprise. Newsflash, dog bites man, whatever you want to say. But first, we're talking about Freddie Freeman. He's in the news because he was named Player of the Week for last week because he was awesome. I believe it's his fifth time winning National League Player of the Week since coming to the Dodgers. I actually didn't look at how many times he's won it total because, Braves, Freddie Freeman, I don't care. But with the Dodgers, he's won it 5 times now, and I can do a quick search for his name in a second. But Freddie Freeman is having the best season of his career right now, and obviously it's very early. That's the big caveat here. He's played 30 games. The Dodgers played more than that, but he missed some. But 30 games in, and he has an OPS of 1170. In 2020, the shortened season, when he won his MVP award, his OPS was 1102. And he's being better. He's played better than he did the year he won the MVP. It's a long season. Who knows what's going to happen? But none of this feels like he's playing over his head. And that's the part that's pretty exciting to me, is because a lot of times guys will have a hot stretch and you're like, oh, yeah, pick a guy. What was his name? Shane Spencer for the Yankees back in the day. Kevin Moss. We could probably just go with Yankees rookies who've done this over the years. But, you'll have guys, Aristides Aquino for the Reds a few years back. Guys will have hot stretches. And okay, he's going to come back down to earth. But Freddie Freeman, well, yes, last week he was playing out of his mind a little bit, but he was also being Freddie Freeman. And yeah, sometimes we had the same conversation a couple weeks ago when Andy Pages won Player of the Week, that it does take luck to be as good as Freddie was last week, to be as good as Pages was that week. It does take some luck because, we had that stretch where Pages had 9 hits and 10 at-bats in a series, and I ran the numbers, and it probably should have been 6 hits. And there were 9 hits and 12 at-bats, and it should have been 6 and 12. And the point I made was 500 is still a really good batting average. And with Freeman, yeah, probably a little bit of good luck. Everything is falling. But you look at those 4 hits he had on Sunday, which one was a cheapo? None of them. I mean, he was just, it was just great hitting. And I wish he would do that every game. He won't. But there's nothing about Freddie Freeman's performance that says this is unsustainable in the big picture. Freddie Freeman, by the way, has won 10 Player of the Week awards overall in his career. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 with the Dodgers. So we talked the other day about Freddie Freeman's Hall of Fame plaque and which hat he'll be wearing and the different ways that he has already matched his time with the Braves. Now that he's with the Dodgers. He already won a World Series with them. He also won a World Series MVP. Now we know he's won as many Player of the Week awards as he did with the Braves. All we need is that MVP, and then the only thing the Braves will have over the Dodgers is service time, how long he spent with them. And Freddie Freeman, he's almost 36. I'm not almost 36. He'll be 36 in September. people who are 35.7 years old shouldn't be having their best season. We've seen it at times. We saw it with guys like Barry Bonds and guys like that. And by guys like that, I mean guys who were, using steroids. There, I'll say it. Freddie Freeman's not using steroids. This is not that situation. What we have here is Freddie Freeman, just elite hitter, always been an elite hitter, and just getting better. And we kind of talk about with pitchers sometimes as they, we talked about with Kershaw recently, as you lose your stuff, but you get better at pitching. And so it kind of evens out. And so you'll have veteran pitchers who don't throw as hard as they used to, but they actually have just as much success because they've compensated for less velocity with more know-how of pitching. I think Freddie might be the hitting equivalent of that he's just become such a good hitter. And I firmly believe, I've said this a few times, last year in the World Series, when he figured something out. Remember, we learned after the World Series that he had the rib injury, and that's why he was struggling so much in the first two rounds of the playoffs. We thought it was just the ankle. Turned out it was the rib too. And it was in that week between the NLCS and the World Series, Freddie made an adjustment and figured out how to hit with the rib injury. And that's why, the pitch that Nestor Cortez made to him that he hit for the Grand Slam in Game 1, it wasn't a bad pitch according to the scouting report. That's a pitch that Freddie, doesn't turn on most of the time. But the adjusted swing that he had ended up being right in his go zone. And so I wondered throughout the offseason if that might unlock something for Freddie to see, I can turn on a ball when I want to. I can still be that opposite field line drive hitter when I need to be. And we've definitely seen that this year. But also, if they're pitching me inside, I can turn on it and I can take it over the wall. It's something that it seems like we've seen a slight evolution in Freddie Freeman. And so that's why I think this isn't a case of he had a hot streak or whatever. This is a case of, I think he has actually improved, which is crazy because this is Freddie Freeman. Coming into this season, Freddie Freeman had a career OPS of 899, a career OPS plus of 142, 42% better than the average hitter throughout his career. A likely Hall of Famer already coming into this season, and now he has evolved. This year, he has an OPS plus of 228. He is ridiculously good. He has 9 homers in 30 games. So you multiply that by 5, that's a 45 homer pace. Freddie's career high in home runs is 38 in 2019. His average is more like 25 to 28, somewhere in that ballpark. He's just a different hitter this year. Not drastically different, but just incremental improvements here and there that has turned him from a great hitter into a super great hitter. I don't know what's better than great, but Freddie's always been great, and now he's better than great. Better than great is you got to get a T-shirt made with that or something. And so I just want to talk about Freddie with the news that he won the Player of the Week award again. Happy for him. The Dodgers actually won the Player of the Week 6 times last year, but Freddie didn't win any of them. Shohei won 4 of them, and then Teoscar Hernandez had 1, and Gavin Lux had 1. But this year, Freeman is the second after Andy Pages 2 weeks ago. Probably going to have a few more. Another Freddie, probably a couple Ohtanis in there. You know how it goes. We will dig into that as it happens. But right now, I am just enjoying the Freddie show, enjoying the evolution of Freddie Freeman, and happy that it's happening in the uniform of my favorite baseball team. Another guy who potentially could be wearing the uniform of my favorite baseball team is Cubs right fielder Kyle Tucker, who will be a free agent after this year. And there was a report that the Dodgers will be pursuing him. Are they going to be seriously pursuing him? Or are they going to be driving up the price for others? That is the question that we will dig into. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there has never been a better time to get in on the action. And FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have way more ways than ever to play smart and win big. As I've mentioned, there's a decent chance that your favorite team is no longer playing in the NBA playoffs right now, but that means you can use your basketball knowledge to make a little money on FanDuel. You got to read on who's heating up, back it up with the same-game parlay. Or you're watching a game, you don't care who wins, but you got a feeling, you can make a bet right during the game. And if you place a $5 bet as a new customer and it wins, you get $200 in bonus bets. If you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Hey, I am back. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. Thanks for being an everydayer if you are. If you're not an everydayer, it's easy to become one. Just watch or listen every weekday morning. Make that easier on yourself by subscribing wherever you're watching or listening right now. Also, please go beyond the podcast, become a Locked On Dodgers insider by going to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. Text directly with us, one-on-one conversations, access to our thoughts before the show, priority and mailbag episodes, and access to our exclusive Locked On Dodgers Discord server, where we are talking Dodgers all the time over there with a bunch of our insiders who love Locked On Dodgers. So we appreciate that. For your next listen, be sure to check out Locked On MLB. Also check out the Locked On MLB Squad show every, I think, Tuesday mornings. We just recorded it about an hour and a half ago. I was on it. We were talking about the recent managerial firings of Bud Black and Derek Shelton. And, talked a little bit about that, a lot about that. Spent most of our half hour on that. Spent the last few minutes with each person saying who is the best team in baseball right now. And you can find out why a couple of people didn't say the Dodgers. Hint, because they're wrong. But now here we are. Bob Nightingale reports, and that's how every good sentence starts. Bob Nightingale reports that the Dodgers will be pursuing Kyle Tucker this coming offseason when he hits free agency. That's not shocking news. It's not surprising news. Kyle Tucker is one of the best hitters in baseball. He's going to be a free agent. The Dodgers are going to be involved. The question becomes, will they be involved like they were for Juan Soto, where it's like, okay, yeah, we got to be involved. We'll make an offer. We'll make sure at least whoever gets him pays a whole lot of money. Or will they be involved like they were with Freddie Freeman, which is also, maybe there's a third kind, because with Freddie Freeman, even then it was, well, we'll wait and see if the price comes down. And then thanks to the dumb Braves, the price came down and the Dodgers got Freddie Freeman. But maybe it'll be like Blake Snell, where they just go out and get him. Blake Snell might not be the best comparison anybody wants me using right now with his current injury status, but Kyle Tucker could fit on this team. The Dodgers they have Teoscar Hernandez for two more years after this year. Michael Conforto is just on a 1-year contract. So even if he shapes up, I do think he's going to get better this year. But even then, he's not under contract next year. And so there will theoretically be room in their outfield. They've got some outfield prospects, but nobody who's like banging down the door and close to the big leagues. And I know there's different outfield prospects that different people like. But the big guys, Zaire Hope is playing in high A right now. Josue DePaula isn't near the big leagues. Mike Sirota, who they got in the Gavin Lux trade, isn't near the big leagues yet. They've got a little bit of wiggle room, and I don't know if it's the full 2 more years before Teo's under contract. Maybe that time works out, because the fact is Kyle Tucker is going to be looking for a big contract. Kyle Tucker is not, I think he's 28 right now. Let me see. Yes, he's 28, just turned 28 in January. So he's relatively young. And so if he's looking for an 8-year deal, that wouldn't be crazy because he would be 36 at the end of that deal. That's not bad at all. The Dodgers might have some concerns just because they have Shohei Ohtani under contract for a long time, Yamamoto for a long time, Mookie for a long time, and Blake Snell for a medium long time, Tyler Glasnow for a few more years. They've got some lengthy contracts for guys in their 30s. Yamamoto's not in his 30s, obviously, but he will be for most of his contract. That's the crazy thing. And so all these things are going to be in consideration. But the fact is, Kyle Tucker, you look at his stats, he is outstanding. His worst career OPS plus in a full season is 129 in 2022. He was only 29% better. So in his worst year, he finished 15th in the MVP voting, was an all-star, won a gold glove. That was his worst year. Kyle Tucker's great. And I like Kyle Tucker. Some people don't like him because the Astros stink, but he debuted with the Astros in 2018. He wasn't part of that Astros team. Obviously, he was teammates with a lot of the cheaters, but I'm not going to hold that against him for sure. The fact is he is outstanding. He's very good defensively and an elite hitter, maybe top 10 hitter in baseball. That's how good he is. And so, yeah, absolutely, he would make the Dodgers better. And so I wouldn't be surprised if this is a real interest, if this is really they target Kyle Tucker and say, yeah, we're going to go get that guy. And obviously the whole thing about free agency is that players get to choose. It's up to them where they play. Who all is interested, and then you choose a team. And sometimes guys just don't want to come to the Dodgers. I don't have any reason to think that Kyle Tucker would be one of those. But, like when Corey Seager left the Dodgers, I firmly believe Corey Seager just is more of a Texas person than an LA person, not for any baseball reasons, but just as a person. And so when he was thinking, where do I want to settle down, raise my children, those things, he just decided he would rather raise his children in Texas than in LA. And some of us will agree with that, and some of us will disagree with that as far as what we would choose. And for us who grew up as Dodger fans, it's hard for us to picture, why would somebody, wait, they want to give me a bunch of money to be a Dodger? Why would I not take that? Because obviously all of us would do that. But Corey Seager didn't grow up a Dodger fan. I don't know who he grew up a fan of. I don't remember if I ever knew, but he's from North Carolina. So probably the Braves or something. One of those East Coast teams, maybe. And just, he made decisions for him. And guys, Trey Turner, Dodgers could have offered him however much they wanted to. He was going to sign with the Phillies. And so Kyle Tucker may not come here. Anthony Rendon chose the Angels because that was the lifestyle he wanted. And a lot of people made fun of him for it. And obviously the Dodgers dodged a bullet with that one. Garrett Cole, when he chose the Yankees, he was always going to choose the Yankees. The only question was, how much were the Yankees going to pay him? And so right now, where we're at, it's May 12th. Kyle Tucker won't even be a free agent for another 5.5 months. But when he is, then we'll start to get a feel for where does he want to play. He's played in Houston. Now he's played in Chicago. Maybe LA appeals to him. Maybe it doesn't. But if winning appeals to him, the Dodgers are obviously going to be on his short list of teams that he wouldn't mind playing for, because the Dodgers are built to win now. And for a long time, they've shown a commitment to winning. And that's all you can really hope for as a fan, that your team, ownership, management will put them in position to be able to sign these guys. Because free agency isn't the only way to build a team. It's not even the best way to build a team, but it's an important part of the scheme of building a team. And it's one of the reasons that I love the Dodgers, is that they're good at building a team in every way that you can build a team. They draft well, even though they're always at the bottom of the draft list because they always have good teams. They draft well. They develop well. They're good at identifying overlooked players in free agency or off the waiver wire. They are very good at signing free agents. They're good at trades. They've won so many trades. Nobody wins every trade. They've won a bunch of trades. They're just really good at building a team in every way you can build a team. Kyle Tucker would obviously make this team better. But a lot of it will come down to what he's looking for, because another thing that the Dodgers are pretty good at is making a sales pitch that doesn't necessarily have to be, we're going to overwhelm you with money. And they can make the pitch of, look, we'll pay you a lot and we'll pay you for a long time, but this is what we have in mind. And here's why we think you should take us. And the money and the years are part of it. But the winning, the culture, all those things. The fact that Dodgers dumped $100 million into Dodger Stadium renovations that we fans will never see. It's just to make it a better place for players to play. Like everything about this, they are committed to bringing in the best talent in every way possible. And it's fun as a Dodger fan because it means we get to watch good quality baseball being played by guys wearing the uniform of our favorite team. Will Kyle Tucker be next? I don't know. And I guess I'll mention really quick before we take our last break. Dodgers did make a trade today. They acquired a guy named Stuart Burroa, the first steward in Major League history. And he debuted with the Blue Jays last year, I believe. He played a little bit this year. He is a guy who I have no idea what to think of him. He's on the 40-man roster. They had an empty spot, so now the 40-man roster is full. He does have 2 option years. He's very fast, steals a lot of bases, has hit decently in the minor leagues. Not much better necessarily than a lot of guys who the Dodgers have who came up and didn't hit well in the big leagues. But he's probably a slight upgrade on James Outman defensively in center field, probably a slight upgrade on speed on James Outman. And I don't like when people say, well, it couldn't be worse, but with the right caveats, he probably can't be worse than what James Outman is right now. I don't know if he'll be better than James Outman overall, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Dodgers do take a swing and give him a chance to see, can you be this backup center fielder or whatever? But it also might just be that he hangs out in the minors because they do have Tommy Edman coming back soon, hopefully. And then obviously they have Clayton Kershaw coming back this coming weekend. Michael Kopech not long after that. I mentioned the 40-man is full. They're going to need roster spots for both of those guys. So if you're JP Fireeisen or Noah Davis, maybe don't get too comfortable. But that's the 40-man roster news. I'm going to come back in a minute. I had a question from a listener about how to build a lineup and his idea for maybe a fun way to build a lineup. I don't totally agree with them, but it's interesting to talk about. And I want to ask you guys which stat you would use if you were going to build a lineup based on one stat. So thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen, and please continue to keep it Locked On Dodgers. And back. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen. Thanks again for being an everydayer. Thanks for being a Locked On Dodgers insider. If you're not, go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. Thanks to the live group here tonight. Good chat going on. Sorry, I can't follow the chat as much when I am also talking. So, but I can definitely see there's a lot of activity going on in there, and I appreciate all of you being here on this Monday evening. I got a question from my buddy Doug Reynolds, who is an everydayer, and we've communicated over social media a lot over the past many years. And he sent me this question today. He said, a mailbag question. What are your thoughts on constructing a lineup based on OPS, highest to lowest? Let the players dictate how high or low they bat in the lineup, maybe reorganize every 2 weeks or so based on the stats. And, I don't hate the idea overall I definitely like the idea of taking a statistical approach to building the lineup. I don't think I would ever want to go purely statistical because there are things other than stats to consider. There's also, if you're looking at overall season stats, well then, somebody has a bad, let's say, and I know there's a crazy hype of that. Let's say Michael Conforto over the next month bats 340 with a bunch of homers. His overall numbers will still be recovering, even though if he bats 340 with a bunch of homers for a month, he should be batting higher in the lineup. I'm using Michael Conforto because he's the best example of somebody who has been terrible so far, which means it's not likely that he will be that good. But overall season stats, the deeper you get into the season, the harder it would be to move up. So I don't like that for sure. But also just the specific statistic, OPS for me, OPS, if you don't know, it's on-base percentage plus slugging percentage. Add those up. Technically, the OPS stands for on-base as one word plus slugging. Pretty straightforward. And I think The one flaw with OPS is that they're two totally different stats, on base percentage and slugging percentage, and they're not equally valuable. And so not all 800 OPSs are the same, because in my opinion, and I think most experts would agree with me, on base percentage is more important than slugging percentage. And so if you go by OPS, like here's what the lineup would look like right now if everybody was healthy, based on OPS right now. Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani, Teoscar Hernandez, Will Smith, Tommy Edman, Andy Pages, Mookie Betts, Kike Hernandez, Miguel Rojas. Not terrible. Mookie Betts batting 7th, though. I think despite the fact that Mookie Betts' OPS right now is only 787, I think he's a better hitter than that. And I think we all probably agree with that. And I think the rest of this year will show that. Then you also have the fact that Mookie's on-base percentage is a lot higher than like Tommy Edman. So in this scenario, if you're going by OPS, Edman's batting 5th, Mookie's batting 7th, even though Mookie's OPS or his on-base percentage is 56 points higher than Edman's. And that's why, for me, if I was choosing one stat to create the lineup based on, I would go with on-base percentage. And I'll tell you why. No stat is perfect, but there is only one thing in baseball that you're limited on, and that's the number of times you can get out in a game. That's the only limit. If you go up there, if everybody goes up and gets a hit or a walk, you can bat forever. Theoretically, you could have a game that never ends. It's never happened. It never will. But the only thing what determines when the game is over is when you've gotten out 27 times. That is how the game ends. And so on base percentage, if we called it by its opposite name, if instead of saying Freddie Freeman has a 437 on base percentage, if we said Freddie Freeman has a 563 getting out percentage, and Kike Hernandez has a 736 getting out percentage, and you'd be like, crap, Kike gets out almost 20% more than Freddie Freeman, you'd be like, yeah, because that's what it is. On base percentage is how often do you not get out? How often do you not do the only thing that a team is limited on? That's what you're looking for, is people who don't get out. And so if we went by on base percentage, again, there's still the caveat that full season numbers are hard to skew because a slump can keep you down in the lineup for a long time. But here's what the Dodgers lineup would look like if we went just based on base percentage. Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Andy Pages, Teoscar Hernandez, Hae-Sung Kim, Max Muncy, Tommy Edman. I took Hunter Fiducia out of there because he has 3 plate appearances. So technically he would be in the lineup there, but he's not even on the roster. And obviously Teo and Edman are hurt right now. But that starting 9 in that order, I don't think anybody would look at that lineup and say, oh, this lineup sucks. Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts. In that order, top 4, not terrible. Gets Shohei more RBI opportunities. And then you got Pages 5th, Teo 6th, Kim 8th, 7th, Muncy 8th, Edman 9th. It's not terrible, And again, there's more that needs to be factored in, because you look at, well, this guy is slumping, so we want to drop him down. Or we don't necessarily, like in this case, Tommy Edman batting 9th, something I've actually advocated for anyway. But the reason I've advocated for it was to get runners on base for Shohei Ohtani. The reason he's 9th in this scenario is because he only has a 295 on base percentage. Tommy Edman, he's a good example of his OPS is 818, which is pretty solid, but a lot of it is based on the slugging. And yes, his 8 home runs are very important, but I need him to be getting on base more often. When he comes back, I need him to improve that on base percentage from 295 to at least league average around 320 something, and ideally more than that, because overall, again, outs are the one thing that's limited in baseball. So if I was choosing one stat to base the lineup on, I would choose on base percentage. I don't think that there's any stat that works that way perfectly, but I kind of love the idea of Freddie Freeman at leadoff and Shohei batting 2nd or 3rd. I kind of love that idea. I wouldn't mind just flip-flopping Freeman and Ohtani. Have Freeman bat leadoff, Ohtani bat 3rd. for a little while, just to see. But also, I do think that where guys are comfortable is a very important factor that a manager has to bring into play when he's making the lineup. Sorry, I got distracted by the chat. Saw the word Padres. Did the Angels come back? Somebody tell me in the chat, because last I saw the Padres were winning, but that was earlier. So looks like maybe the Angels took the lead, so the Dodgers might pick up half a game on the Padres tonight, even when the Dodgers don't play. So that's going to do it for me today. A couple of little things. The Dodgers start a series with the A's on Tuesday. I recorded a crossover episode today with Booney from Locked On A's, and I had thought about using a chunk of that for like my last segment here tonight. But I think what I'm just going to tell you is go check out Locked On A's. Hop over there, check out the episode. I've noticed that we don't get as many people paying attention to our crossover episodes when we do them, and I took that to mean that you guys don't really care about them, crossover episodes. But I did it because I enjoy talking baseball with other baseball fans. So I did record this thing. I may take just one segment and put it up as like a bonus segment here somewhere on our YouTube channel. But if you want to watch the full thing, just go over to Locked On A's on their YouTube channel or wherever you get podcasts or whatever, and check out that episode. That'll come out, I believe, tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning. So check that out. That'll do it for me for today. Thank you all for being here live with me. Really good group here. We got something coming up on Wednesday. I think we're locked in. We are going to have three of us, me and my buddy Clint Pacias and our buddy Doug McCain. I think the three of us are going to do an episode of Locked On Dodgers together. Doug is obviously part of the Locked On family. He's one of the hosts of Locked On Rams. He's also with Dodgers Nation. Clint does all Dodgers and Dodgers territory. And, I'm here at Locked On Dodgers with Vince out of town. I thought that would be fun to get the three of us together. So watch for that. We'll be live on Wednesday at some point, probably shortly after the game. That'll do it for us. Thanks for being an everydayer. If you are, be sure to subscribe wherever you're watching this right now. Make it easier to become an everydayer. Also, be sure to check out the new Locked On MLB Game Night. It's a show where they're covering every game every night with the experts from the Locked On podcast for the different teams. You can find that on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you get podcasts. You can also go beyond the podcast and become a Locked On Dodgers insider by going to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Locked On Dodgers. Vince is on Twitter at VinceSince91. I'm on Twitter at Snydog, and our DMs are open there. Anytime you want to reach out to us, you can also email us, lockedondodgers@gmail.com, or send us a voicemail or a text message to 323-863-LOCK5625. We are here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be here with us. When you get in your car or sit on your couch, tell your smart device to play podcast Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. We'll talk to you tomorrow.